Hey everyone, ready for a deep dive?
Always.
This time, we're tackling ginseng. I feel like everyone's heard of it.
Right.
But do we actually know what it is?
Yeah, good point. This is one of those things you hear about.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we've got some interesting sources for this one.
Lay it on me.
A research paper.
Ooh, academic sounding.
It is lots of good sciencey stuff. And then, to mix it up, a couple of YouTube videos.
Okay, so we've got like the hard facts.
And then what people are actually saying about ginseng, you know?
I like it. What kind of videos?
These are from a Dr. Jay Feldman.
Okay.
He's really into Korean red ginseng. Makes some pretty big claims.
I'm intrigued already.
So, mission for this deep dive.
Hit me.
Let's figure out what's really up with ginseng.
Love it. Let's go.
All right, so first things first. The paper breaks down types of ginseng.
Okay.
You've got wild versus cultivated, and then Korean versus American.
Now, that's where things get interesting, right?
Ah.
Wild ginseng, especially that Korean kind, super rare.
Oh yeah, the paper mentioned that.
It's like endangered because everyone wants it.
Makes sense, supply and demand.
Exactly. So naturally, that wild stuff is going to be pricey.
Oh, for sure. The paper talked about how Native Americans have been using wild American ginseng forever.
Yeah.
Medicinally, I mean. So clearly it's got a history.
Absolutely. But you know what else is fascinating?
What's that?
How ginseng actually gets from the ground to like a bottle in the store. It's not simple.
Oh my gosh, tell me about it. The paper goes into all these steps.
It's intense, right? From a tiny seed to...
I was picturing them just like digging it up and there it is.
Nope. You've got fresh ginseng, white ginseng, red ginseng.
And the Korean terms too.
Oh yeah, gotta love those. Susam, Baeksam, Hongsam. Makes it sound even fancier.
So what's the difference between white and red, besides the color, obviously?
Well, red ginseng goes through this whole steaming and drying process. Longer shelf life that way. Pretty clever.
I know, right? And speaking of going global,
yeah,
ginseng is huge, like worldwide.
Makes sense. Everyone wants a piece of the magic.
The paper says China is the biggest consumer. And get this, in 2013, ginseng sales were over $2 billion.
Wow. $2 billion. That's a lot of ginseng.
Right. It's not just some niche thing.
Definitely not. And most of it's coming from Asia, too. South Korea, mainly.
Yeah, the paper mentioned that. Canada and the U.S. do some American ginseng.
But not even close to the same scale.
Nope. Okay, but it's not all just medicine, right?
Right.
The paper talked about how Koreans use ginseng in food. Ginseng tea. Ginseng liquor.
Ooh, I've heard of that. Sounds interesting.
Right. Now that's my kind of health food.
Okay, hold on now. Before we all go on a ginseng cocktail binge.
Oh, what's the catch?
This is where it gets kind of tricky. See, ginseng has this long history, right?
Yeah, we've established that.
But when modern science looks at it, some of the health claims, they don't quite hold up.
Uh-oh. So we've got tradition versus science now.
Exactly. It's where things get really interesting. And we have to think critically.
Okay, I'm ready to think critically.
So just because we don't have, like, mountains of scientific proof doesn't mean ginseng's useless.
Right.
It just means we need more research, more data.
Got it. So absence of evidence isn't evidence of absence.
Exactly. But the paper did mention a few things.
Oh, like what?
There's some very early hints that ginseng might help with erectile dysfunction.
Okay.
But it's not a sure thing. More research needed.
Of course. What about things like memory, fatigue, menopause symptoms?
On those, pretty much nothing conclusive yet.
And
it's really important to say there's no evidence that ginseng cures anything or that it's like a magic health bullet.
Okay, good to know. So that's the science side.
Right.
But then we've got these YouTube videos with Dr. Feldman. And he's a lot more gung-ho about ginseng.
Yeah, that's fair to say.
But we're not endorsing his views.
Of course not. But it's important to present what he says accurately.
Agreed. So, get this. He lists all these potential benefits. Anti-cancer, diabetes management, heart health, less inflammation.
He's not holding back.
And wait, there's more. Mental clarity, energy boost, even libido, helps with anxiety, sexual dysfunction. It's a lot.
He's really covering all the bases.
Right. But you can kind of see where this is going.
Yeah. Big gap between what he's saying and what that research paper is saying.
Huge gap. So how do we deal with that?
That's the big question, isn't it? Should we just believe him, even if the science is shaky?
Tricky. The paper did say a lot of his claims are based on small studies or just people's personal stories.
Right, which isn't the most reliable.
Definitely not. And plus, everyone reacts to things differently.
Exactly. What works for one person
might be a total dud for someone else.
exactly. And, the FDA has actually sent out warnings to some ginseng supplement companies.
Really?
Yeah, for making claims that aren't backed up. So clearly more research is needed.
For sure. Okay, so say someone's listening and they're thinking, I am kind of intrigued by ginseng.
Right.
What about dosage and all that? Is it safe?
That's where it gets even trickier. Dr. Feldman mentioned a range like 200 milligrams to 3 grams a day.
That's a huge GE difference.
It is, and it shows why talking to your doctor is key, especially if you take other meds.
Oh, yeah. Good.
Ginseng can interact with stuff like blood thinners.
The paper mentioned warfarin specifically, and even though ginseng is generally considered safe short-term...
There's a whole list of potential side effects, even at normal doses.
Oh, fun. Like what?
Headaches, insomnia, digestive problems.
Wait, I thought ginseng was supposed to help you sleep.
I know, right? It's like...
Conflicting information everywhere.
Yeah, and everyone's different, so...
Okay, what else is on that list? I'm scared to ask, but also...
Well, it can get more serious. Nervousness, anxiety, blood pressure going up or down.
Yikes.
And there have even been reports of gynecomastia in men.
Gynecomastia, that's like...
Male breast growth.
Whoa. Okay, so ginseng messing with hormones.
Yeah, it's a hormonal thing.
Yeah.
Not super common, but definitely something to know. And here's another one, some reports of vaginal bleeding linked to ginseng use.
Okay, I think we can all agree that's not what we want.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
So yeah, caution is definitely advised.
For sure. And it's not just the side effects themselves, but also those interactions with meds.
Right. We talked about blood thinners, but it can be other stuff too.
So bottom line, if you're on any medication...
Talk to your doctor before even thinking about ginseng.
No exceptions.
No exceptions. They can tell you if it's safe, what dose to take.
Right. Because that range Dr. Feldman gave was wild.
Wild is a good word for it. Speaking of wild, what about that whole energy boost thing?
Oh, yeah, he was all about that.
Made it sound like ginseng turns you into Superman.
Right. Limitless energy and focus.
Now, some people do say they feel more energized.
Okay.
But that's anecdotal,
Yeah.
their personal experience. The science on that is still pretty fuzzy.
So no guarantees you'll become a productivity machine.
Probably not. And even if it does give you a boost, gotta remember those downsides. Insomnia, anxiety.
Yeah, what's the point of energy if you're too anxious to use it?
Good point. It's all about balance. Now, having said all that, there are a couple areas where ginseng looks a bit more promising, at least according to Dr. Feldman.
Okay, I'm listening. Which of his claims hold up better?
Well, he talked a lot about the immune system.
Right, like it's a booster.
Exactly. And while it's no substitute for, vaccines and hand washing,
Of course not.
there is some research suggesting ginseng can increase white blood cell counts, which could theoretically help fight off infections.
Interesting. So maybe not a magic shield, but...
But maybe a little extra help,
That's
especially during cold and flu season.
Gotcha. But still, more research is needed.
Always. What about the brain stuff?
Oh yeah, Dr. Feldman loved that one. Ginseng for memory, sharper thinking.
He made it sound like a brain upgrade.
Right, but what does the science actually say?
Some tiny studies have hinted at a connection, but nothing solid yet.
So, not a miracle cure for brain fog.
Unlikely. But maybe something to consider alongside other healthy habits.
Like sleep, managing stress, all that good stuff.
Exactly. It's about the whole picture. Now, what about those claims about ginseng being good for your heart?
Oh yeah, and for diabetes too.
He was pretty passionate about those, and there are a few early studies that suggest it might help lower blood sugar and cholesterol.
Okay.
But again, super early stuff, lots more to learn.
So the message is, if you have those conditions...
Don't ditch your meds and go all in on ginseng.
Definitely not. Talk to your doctor first.
Exactly. And remember, even if ginseng does have those benefits, it's not a cure-all.
Right. Healthy lifestyle is still key.
Absolutely. No supplement can replace that.
Okay, so we've covered a lot. Different types, processing, way it comes from, those health claims.
The good, the bad, the maybe sort of kind of true.
Exactly. Starting to feel like I actually understand ginseng now.
Me too.
Oh.
And we've emphasized being careful doing your research.
Oh, for sure. Especially with supplements. Gotta be smart.
Absolutely. And we haven't even touched on the cultural stuff yet.
Oh, right. Like how ginseng is viewed in different places.
Exactly. It's not just about the science. There's a whole other layer there.
That's for part 2, though, right?
It is. We'll dig into that next time. But for now...
For now, we've definitely given everyone a lot to think about.
We have. So what are your initial thoughts? Would you try ginseng?
Tough question. I'm still on the fence, but I'm definitely more informed now than I was an hour ago.
That's the goal. Informed decisions, people. And in the meantime,
stay tuned for part 2. We'll be back with more ginseng adventures.
Can't wait.
All right, we're back. More ginseng talk.
Round 2.
Last time, we set the stage right. Different types, the whole processing thing, and all those health claims flying around.
We left everyone hanging a bit, though, didn't we?
We did. Big questions still unanswered.
Is ginseng a miracle cure? Or is it just clever marketing?
Right. And I don't think we'll have a definitive answer even by the end of this.
Probably not, yeah. But we've got more info to dig into. Maybe it'll help us get closer to an answer.
Okay, I'm ready. Let's get back to those side effects. The research paper went pretty deep on those.
Yeah, we got to be careful with that stuff, especially since, the FDA doesn't regulate supplements the same way they do pharmaceuticals.
Oh, right. Good point. So just because you see ginseng on the shelf at the store
doesn't mean it's 100% harmless.
Definitely not. Knowledge is power. Yeah. Right. So let's hear it. What kind of side effects are we talking about?
Well, with long-term use, the paper mentions a bunch of possibilities. Skin rashes, headaches, insomnia, digestive issues.
Wait a minute. I thought ginseng was supposed to help with insomnia, and now I'm even more confused.
I know, right? That's the thing with these herbal supplements.
So much conflicting info.
Yeah, and everyone reacts differently. So.
Makes sense. So what else is on that list?
It can get more serious. Nervousness, anxiety, blood pressure fluctuations.
Okay, not good.
And there have even been reports of gynecomastia in men.
Gynecomastia. That's,
male breast growth.
Whoa. Okay, ginseng messing with hormones.
Yeah, it can be a hormonal thing. Not super common, but worth knowing about. Oh, and there have also been reports of vaginal bleeding linked to ginseng use.
Okay, I think we're all on the same page here. That's not good.
Definitely not. So yeah, caution is key.
For sure. And it's not just the side effects themselves, but also those interactions with other medications.
Right. We talked about blood thinners like warfarin, but it could be other stuff too.
So the big takeaway is, if you take any medications,
talk to your doctor before even considering ginseng.
Seriously, no exception.
None. They can help figure out if it's safe for you, the right dosage.
Because remember that huge range Dr. Feldman gave?
200 milligrams to 3 grams.
Yeah, that's crazy. I wouldn't mess around with that without professional guidance.
Absolutely not. Speaking of messing around, what about that whole energy booster thing?
Dr. Feldman was pretty hyped about that one.
He was. Made it sound like ginseng gives you superpowers.
Right. Unlimited energy, laser focus.
Now, some people do report feeling more energized after taking ginseng.
Okay, so it's not totally out there.
Right. But again, that's just their personal experience. The science is still iffy.
So no guarantees I'll suddenly be able to run a marathon and write a novel in one day?
Probably not.
Yeah.
And even if it does give you a boost, you got to weigh that against the potential downsides.
Yeah.
Insomnia, anxiety.
Right. Like, what's the point of having tons of energy if you're too jittery to actually do anything?
Exactly. It's all about balance. Okay, now, I know we've been pretty cautious so far.
We have.
But there are a couple of areas where ginseng looks a bit more promising, at least according to Dr. Feldman.
Okay, I'm all ears. Which of his claims have some weight to them?
Well, he spent a lot of time talking about ginseng as an immune booster.
Yeah, I remember that. Like, it helps you fight off colds and stuff.
Right. And while it's definitely not a replacement for, vaccines or washing your hands.
Of course not. Got to cover the basics.
Absolutely. There is some research that suggests ginseng can boost your white blood cell count.
Okay. And white blood cells are the ones that fight off infections, right?
Exactly. So theoretically, it could help your body fight off bugs.
Interesting. So maybe not a magic shield, but maybe a little extra help?
Maybe. Especially during cold and flu season, it might be worth considering. But again, more research is needed.
Always more research. What about the brain stuff? Dr. Feldman was really into that, too.
He was. Ginseng for memory, sharper thinking.
Yeah, he made it sound like a brain upgrade.
Right. But when you look at the science, there's just not enough there yet. A few small studies have shown a possible connection, but nothing solid.
So if you're struggling with brain fog or memory issues...
don't expect ginseng to be a quick fix.
Got it. No brain transplant in a bottle.
Exactly. But hey, it could be something to explore, along with other healthy habits like getting enough sleep, managing stress, and challenging your brain regularly.
Right. It's all connected.
It is. Okay, what about those claims about ginseng being good for your heart and for managing diabetes?
Oh yeah, Dr. Feldman was on fire about those.
He was very passionate about those benefits. And there have been a few early studies that show ginseng might help lower blood sugar and cholesterol levels.
Okay, so there's a glimmer of hope there.
There is. But it's super early research. Lots more to learn.
So the takeaway is, If you have heart disease or diabetes,
don't just ditch your medications and start taking ginseng.
definitely not. Talk to your doctor first.
Absolutely. They can help you figure out if it might be beneficial and safe for you. And even if ginseng does have positive effects on heart health or blood sugar, it's not a substitute for a healthy lifestyle.
Right. No supplement can magically erase years of bad habits.
Exactly. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. Different types of ginseng, processing, potential benefits, risks.
Yeah, my head's spinning a little.
I know, it's a lot. But hopefully you're starting to get a clearer picture of what ginseng is all about.
I think so. It's definitely a lot more complex than I initially thought.
It is. But we're not done yet. There's one more piece of the ginseng puzzle we haven't talked about.
Ooh, what's that?
The spiritual and cultural significance.
Oh, right. I almost forgot about that. In some cultures, ginseng is like a sacred herb, right?
It is. In many Asian cultures, ginseng is more than just a medicinal plant. It's a symbol of strength, vitality, and longevity.
Wow, that's pretty powerful.
It is. And that cultural context is important to understand, even if you're approaching ginseng from a purely scientific perspective.
I see what you mean. It's like to really understand ginseng's impact, you have to consider its cultural significance too.
Exactly. And it reminds us that health and well-being aren't just about physical symptoms and scientific data. They're also about spiritual and emotional balance, which are often tied to our cultural backgrounds and beliefs.
I like that. Sometimes the most powerful remedies aren't found in a lab, but in ancient wisdom.
I agree. Okay, so as we wrap up this part of our ginseng deep dive, I think it's important to take a step back and look at the big picture.
Big picture time.
Ginseng is a plant with a rich history, a complex set of potential benefits and risks, and a profound cultural significance.
Yeah, it's definitely more than just a supplement.
It is, and ultimately it's up to each individual to decide whether ginseng has a place in their own health journey. We've tried to present all the information, but the choice is yours.
Right. Okay, before we move on, I just want to reiterate, we are not doctors.
Definitely not.
So nothing we've said here should be taken as medical advice.
Absolutely. If you're thinking about using ginseng, please talk to your doctor. They can help you weigh the potential risks and benefits based on your specific situation.
Right. And even though ginseng is a natural product, it's not risk-free. Do your research, talk to your doctor, and be smart about it.
Couldn't have said it better myself. So, are you ready for the final chapter of our ginseng deep dive?
Bring it on. I'm ready to wrap this up and maybe, just maybe, come to some conclusions about ginseng.
Okay, welcome back for the final round of our ginseng deep dive.
It has been a journey, hasn't it?
It really has. We've explored so much. The different varieties, the science behind it, even the cultural side of things.
Yeah, we've covered a lot of ground. But now I think it's time to tackle the big question.
The one everyone's probably thinking.
Exactly, to ginseng or not to ginseng.
That's the question, isn't it?
And like we said before, it's a personal decision.
Absolutely.
But I feel like now, after all this digging, I have a better idea of like what to even think about, you know?
Exactly. And that's what we hope to do with these deep dives. Give you the info so you can make your own informed choices.
So let's recap real quick. We've got different types of ginseng: wild, cultivated, Korean, American, each with its own quirks and, of course, price tag.
Right. And we talked about how it's processed. Fresh, white, red.
Mm-hmm.
That affects how long it lasts and maybe even how it works.
And then there's that whole list of potential benefits, right? Boosting energy, immunity, brain function, maybe even helping with chronic conditions like diabetes or heart disease.
But we also learned to be a little skeptical of those claims.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Because the science isn't always solid.
Exactly. And then there are the potential side effects, which can be anything from a mild headache to, more serious stuff like anxiety or blood pressure problems.
Yeah, it's a lot to weigh.
It is. So how do you balance those potential benefits against the risks? I think a lot depends on your personal health goals,
Yeah.
how much risk you're comfortable with, even your beliefs about health and healing.
I think so too. Like if you're generally healthy and just curious about ginseng for an energy boost or maybe some immune support, you might be more willing to try it out.
Right. But if you have any health issues or you're taking medications, you have to talk to your doctor first.
Oh yeah, no question. They can help you figure out if it's safe and what dosage to take.
Absolutely.
And let's be real, sometimes the placebo effect is a factor too.
Oh, for sure. The mind is powerful.
If you believe ginseng will make you feel better, there's a chance it actually will.
That mind-body connection is no joke.
But even if you're a big believer in placebo, you still got to be aware of those potential side effects and interactions.
Couldn't agree more. You don't want to mess around with your health.
Okay, so let's say you've done your research, talked to your doctor, and you're ready to give ginseng a shot.
Okay.
What's the best way to go about it? Any tips for navigating the world of ginseng supplements?
First things first, choose a reputable brand.
Right, you don't want to just buy the cheapest thing you find.
Exactly. Supplements aren't regulated as strictly as drugs, so quality can be all over the place.
So how do you know what's good?
Look for brands that have been independently tested.
Like a third party verifying that it's actually what it says it is.
Exactly. And my advice is always to start with a low dose and see how you feel.
Don't go overboard right away.
Right. You can always increase the dose later if you need to, but it's better to be safe than sorry.
And of course, listen to your body.
Always. If you have any weird side effects, stop taking it and talk to your doctor.
Makes sense.
It's all about finding what works for you.
Right? And ginseng is just one piece of the puzzle, right?
Absolutely. Healthy diet, exercise, managing stress, good sleep. Those are still the most important things.
No supplement can replace that.
Couldn't agree more.
Well, as we wrap up this ginseng deep dive, I have to say, I'm feeling a mix of wonder and curiosity.
I get it. It's amazing what you can learn from just exploring one plant.
And how much we still don't know.
That's the beauty of it,
Yeah.
right? There's always more to discover.
That's what makes these deep dives so fun.
So we encourage you to keep thinking about everything we've discussed.
Do your own research, consider your own health goals.
And maybe even try some ginseng if you're feeling adventurous.
But remember, talk to your doctor first.
Always. Informed decisions, people.
That's what it's all about. Thanks for joining us on this ginseng journey.
Until next time, stay curious.
And stay healthy.